family. My name is Vicki Dillard for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in, family. Now, certainly some of you at least have heard about the brouhaha and the ongoing drama with the ambassador to South Africa, Ambassador Basel, and his high disrespect for the nation of South Africa. Yes, just as a brief reminder here, the headline from Business Insider Africa says South Africa summons U.S. ambassador to answer for his controversial statement. Somebody say summon in the chat. Somebody put some gavels in the chat. For those of you that don't know, the Vicky Show, I've been on different networks, different platforms over the years. So I'm known for my gavel, baby. So put your little gavels, your hammers in the chat. Baby, we hold court here. Yes? I want you all to listen to something real quick, and I'm going to break down something. It says here that this ambassador, which I'm just reading from this recent article, says South Africa authorities have summoned Ambassador Bozio to explain his statements, which they consider undiplomatic and disrespectful to established protocols. Bozio criticized South Africa for its reluctance to condemn the Kill Boer slogan, reconsider its land reform laws, and address farm killings amongst white farmers. The ambassador stated that the U.S. is running out of patience with South Africa's geopolitical stance and government responses. It also went on to talk about, he criticized the fact that South Africa sent condolences to Iran after the U.S. and Israel engaged in an unjust war to assassinate the Ayatollah. Yes? Now, why am I bringing this up? This has been making the news recently with this unremarkable, white ambassador to South Africa and its disrespect. But why am I bringing this up? How many of you all remember a couple of plus years ago, your southern sister with the curly braids, Vicki Dillard, this girl from Mississippi, yes, in the United States, that now lives in the wild, wild west, I like to say. Some of you that initially mocked me wanted to know who I thought I was by even discussing such things. Baby, I don't pretend to be anything but what I express myself to be. And that's a divine vessel. Because when I'm discussing something, I can assure you it's something to it. Long time ago, I did back to back coverage related to different elements related to South Africa, of course, as well as some other nations. But I speak on stuff that I'm guided to speak, not just based on something that's in the news or because so-and-so says you need to be an expert on something. The divine doesn't need an expert except for an expert listener in the spirit. Well, of course, I was right about me warning the Black diaspora that the United States was planning and plotting against South Africa. I can't even keep up with the number of broadcasts that I did that related to South Africa in one way or another for the past few years. Yes? Well, one of the broadcasts that I did specifically related to, and I think I did probably a couple of different ones, on y'all's the former ambassador to South Africa. Do you all remember my coverage on that? We must revisit this. In my opinion, I believe we should revisit this just as a refresher. Former ambassador, Mr. Reuben Briggity, he's a Black man. Just to remind you of something that he said, watch this brief clip.
The arming of Russia by South Africa with the vessel that landed in Simonstown is fundamentally unacceptable. We are confident that weapons were loaded onto that vessel, and I would bet my life on the accuracy of that assertion. Given that, the deviation from South Africa's policy of non-alignment by the actions of December 6th through December 8th are inexplicable.
Okay, family, did you hear his funny looking self do a press conference and bet his own life on a lie that South Africa was providing weapons to Russia? Now, this was a couple of years ago, plus years ago. Now, the thing is, I was bringing these different types of things up way back then, and I was covering here about meetings that the Foreign Affairs Committee in Congress in the United States was having discussing South Africa. There weren't a lot of people in those meetings, but they were very, very consequential. And I was wondering why are they doing these back-to-back meetings? And I listened to quite a few of those hearings specifically related to South Africa. And I was wanting to know why was U.S. congresspersons plotting against South Africa? This was when Biden was in office. I was listening to these things. Mainstream media wasn't covering this. I was. Now, once again, I was guided to, because that was just not a natural, intuitive thing for me to just be tuning into something and just be talking about it. But I was absolutely right about it. Yes. Well, when I covered a long time back about American Ambassador Reuben Brigady's comments, and you heard him there, said that he would bet his life on the assertion of the accuracy of those weapons that South Africa was allegedly providing to Russia. We knew that was a lie. Watch this. Watch this very brief response from, I believe it's 2023, when President Ramaphosa addressed this. Watch this.
Now, surprise, surprise, the American ambassador comes to South Africa back and he accuses us. He accuses us, he launches an attack against us, which we found quite, distasteful, because at a diplomatic level, you don't do things like that. But in any event, our Minister of International Relations had a meeting with him yesterday, expressed South Africa's disappointment in him, and he then apologized. He said, I apologize in the meeting to Minister Khan.
Okay, so did you hear when President Ramaphosa made it clear that the ambassador apologized for that lie? Now, why am I bringing this up? Because I'm trying to show you, as I did then, through numerous different other broadcasts, that South Africa was always a target for the United States under both Democratic and Republican administrations. And it had everything to do with geopolitical reasons. Not only do we get certain minerals from South Africa itself, but I believe because of South Africa's geographical location and because of its proximity to Russia, to China, to BRICS at large, and to the United States, we were using the United States. They were, I ain't gonna say no we, baby, the corrupt American leadership, but I believe was using them to sabotage and to destroy the link between the global majority, aka the global South's growing influence. What was that meant to do? When the United States made that lie by former Ambassador Brigady, it negatively affected South Africa's economy. The people ended up suffering because of that lie. The rand ended up being suffering. Yes. By the time the ambassador apologized, which he tried, that wasn't mainstream media didn't cover that well enough. So it's hard to find that he actually said that he, to where you find him admitting he apologized, but you heard the president there say that he did. The damage was already done because of the fallout that happens with other countries and nations that end up having to do trade. When such a comment like that is made, it affects the economy. And I am telling you that it is my belief that it was exactly the intention of the United States to stick it to South Africa so that they don't continue to grow in their partnership and relationship with global South countries such as Russia and China and others. So I know y'all don't think it's strange that I did a lot of coverage on y'all's former foreign minister, the great Dr. Naledi Pandor, which I love her so much. Of course, she's not the current foreign minister, right? But y'all's current foreign minister, Mr. Ronald, Lamola, made a public press conference making it clear that he summoned Mr. Bazio for his undiplomatic and disrespectful comments. And shout out to y'all's current foreign minister, Mr. Ronald Lamola, and making it clear to him and the world, don't you even think about it. But I've got to say, the writing was on the wall. And I didn't do just one or two. I did several different ones showing you why and explaining to you that there was a plot. And it is my prayer that you continue to stand together. And that even though, as I mentioned before, because I know y'all was like, who this Mississippi girl who lives in the West in America, who does she think she's talking to? She has all them long braids and them nails, and she's got that little accent. Who does she think she's talking to? You're talking to a vessel. That's who you're talking to. That just so happens to be right. And I'm bringing this up to say that when an opposer, an oppressor, know that they're losing a place that they had no business having in the first place for centuries, and off of the blood and the back and the resources, the darker peoples of the world, they're not going to give it up easily. So I hope that you continue to stand together, hold each other accountable where you must, especially domestically, because that's not my business to tell you what to do there. But I will tell you this, as I mentioned in some of my previous broadcasts, I was giving you insight and revelations that some of even the domestic stuff that some of our South African family was having, in which I don't know all of it, of course not. But I know of some of it, that some of the domestic stuff that y'all was having without me ever being there, was because some of y'all's white South African citizens twitched their hips to the United States a few years ago and had the ear of our Congress people. And like your foreign minister showed you, that there were certain lobbyist groups and other agents on the ground that was causing domestic issues, but they were sitting over here plotting and have connection to the United States of America. So there are some things that appear to be organic and from the grassroots, but they're actually a geopolitical consequence to it. That's what I want us to see. And that's what I try to tell my people here in the United States as well. Are y'all hear me today? This is very important. Hold the line. Stay strong. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. Of course, I'm going to be following up about this, but I just wanted to remind you that this is not some off thing or coincidence. Ambassadors wagging their fingers in the face of South African, especially the black ones, to try to tell them what to do, because that's who they targeting. Because it was some of the white boys that was over here a few years ago running their mouth with Congress people. It's the white boys that's pushing the United States to try to tell y'all what to do about your own land, your own laws. And white South African farmers who are being humiliated as we speak in the United States. Do you understand? They were over here in the United States talking to Congress people to do their bidding on a geopolitical stage. And Congress people using them connected to other geopolitical agendas that Congress and other forces have. They merged all that in together as a reason to mess make and to be involved in y'all's politics in ways that we have no business. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. My name is Vicki Dillard. Beloved. Be sure to go to my website at VickiPlanet.com. That's VICKI Planet.com. I can't wait to see you again.